It's an honor to host such a great business group. And I say that because I come from business. I'm part of a family business that's enjoying 72 years of success this year. And so why I do this job, I don't know. If you ask my family, they really have a problem. But in any case, I love what I do. So just tell you a little bit about the town, where we were when we came here, and where we are now, and why we're where we are. And that's because of my business background. I really, how can I say, as Thomas Jones Scott, I really don't like politics. But sometimes in our business, it's part of your life, so to say. So we came here, and our town was one step above Jump On. We were borrowing $10.5 million a year for cash flow. So think about this. We come here, and now I'm doing business with some of the vendors that I do business with in my private business. And now they're saying to me, gee, Charlie, we can't send you those pots. What's going on? You guys won't pay. So talk about embarrassment. It was embarrassing. But we win this election without the support of one elected official or one union. So we also knew people wanted to change. So we hit the ground running. We were advised to go bankrupt by the financial people. It's the easiest thing for you to do. My father will kill me. My family business background doesn't mandate that, so to say. We raised the taxes one year 17%. We closed the fire station. We made the tough decisions. I'll go back to that in a minute. So I'm proud to tell you today we're enjoying a AA bond rating, and we have about $13 million in the bank. All this was accomplished with a lack of open space. We don't have open space, so we can't attract big business here. Our salvation is to do more or less. Someone's thinking about moving, please believe me, we visit them. You can't move. We'll find you somewhere. You need to stay here. We're on the phone. We ask people to come up and visit with us, take them for a ride around town. What do you need? You need to come here. The last year and a half, we have 14 new businesses that moved in. O'Reilly's Auto, Wendy's, Providence Bagel, TD Bank, Washington Trust, Pizza Hut. I asked a couple of our business people to come here this morning and, to maybe share a couple of stories with you as to the way we get it done. And my job is get it done. And because in my business, prior to me coming here, if I wanted to, do a little project, you go to a city hall or a town hall, an inspector's office, gee, could you come back tomorrow? Oh, no, you need to go to that office. And time is money where I come from. So when we came here, we were the first community that had a one-stop shop. So if you want to talk to the building inspector, the plumbing inspector, the zoning official, the fire marshal, the planning director, you go to one office to get it done. And the result of that is, Cumberland Farm just raised maybe a year ago 9 properties now at the Cumberland Mill Spring and Charles, and built a new facility there. And when they come to visit you after that project is complete and they tell you, we just wanted to come by and thank you. I said, no, I need to thank you. We need you to be here probably more than you need to be here. But that they've never put up or built a structure, a new location as quick and with the least amount of problems as they have here. So we want to be business friendly. We want to be known as, go there, you can get it done. Because of the time, we'll cut that time down. There's a gentleman sitting right here, Bob Torino, took over an old mill down here, North Providence, on Onondaga Avenue. So Bob comes in, he wants to, renovate the mill, Jose. So now you got to convince some of the other elected officials, hey, we need to make this work. But then you're dealing with some people that, oh, this is perfect because now we could really get the tax money. And my job is, hey, look, we need to work it out. As long as we don't lose a penny, why would you, how can I say, try to burden these people with additional taxes now before they've gotten a chance to get going? As long as the town doesn't lose a penny, let's, I'm not going to say deal, I hate that word. Let's do an agreement, maybe a 3-year agreement, so it stays flat. Until such time as they can renovate this mill building, occupy those 110 units, and then now we can move in and say, okay, we're gonna, I don't know if I figure it was a 5% or 6% a year for say the next 5 or 6 years to get them going. But you only can convince those people that you're working with to do something like this, or encourage them to work with you if you've got business sense. Because if you don't, it's over. We have a Lady of Fatima Hospital. They came in, they became a for-profit business. Same story. Oh, this is perfect, man. We could, really raise the taxes. Hold it. We did the same thing there. Because what some people don't understand, and some elected officials don't understand, we need that hospital to be here more than they need to be here. And these are the things that we try to do here. And I know that when I spoke with the office, they said, just bring them up to date as to what's going on in town. Our next project right now is, and we made it, we met as late, or as early as yesterday, with the DOT to work on this Sunnydale area here, the business district, to address, to bring in new business here. Maybe it needs to become a 2-lane road again. We need to address some of the roundabouts here. I had to stay in yesterday, talking with our planning director who's here today, a gentleman that's on the planning board that's also with us here today, and that's our next project. We got a streetscape grant about, I don't know, a couple of months back, for about $150,000 to try to get this moving. We have a vision. We know it needs to be done. And before I leave here, I'm going to address that business district. Just a couple of other things. So we have a body of water on Route 7. And before we came here, it was scheduled to build 48 condominium units. So we own 18 acres. The town of Lincoln buys 38 acres. There's 19 acres going up the middle on the water, abuts our property. I'm saying, why aren't we buying this? I'm not the mayor, don't know I'm running for mayor, but I did know one thing, that smart business tells me that you purchase the property that abuts yours just for protection. So I go to the council. I'm Charlie Lombardi. That's it. I said, you need to buy this property. Oh, don't worry about it. It's zoned open space. I said, what? He said, it's zoned open space, don't worry about it. I get the minutes in my office, because I knew I'd become the mayor 3 years later. I said, I go back 6 months later. I said, what are you doing with the property? It's all set. And in the minutes it says, I said, so you think that someone's gonna buy this property to lay there blinking on the beach? It's not gonna happen. It's a pristine piece of property. Go back 3 months later, 2 developers involved. So you can see what's going on, that whole political move, so to say. 6 or 8 months later, special election, we run, we win, first order of business. Supreme Court, take over the property to protect it. And I'm saying, why aren't we buying this for our kids, their kids, and their kids? It made absolutely no sense. And I will tell you this, it's about, what, 4 years? So my chief of staff, by the way, Dick Fossey, he was a former mayor here. I can't do it without him.
It says that when he hands me my
But, so we, I say take over the property, become the owners of the property. Now we go to DEM. They get open space money. So, I'm the kind of guy that, when I stick my finger in your side, it's not coming out until I get what I need. So I said, look, we have the least amount of open space left per capita in the state of Rhode Island. You have open space money. You want to give it to Exeter, West Greenwich, Richmond. We got the money. First hit for $500,000. And I will just fast forward to tell you, you need to go by there. We renovated the building. We got a number of other grants, Champlin, the Rhode Island Foundation, and now we have a beautiful building there that we renovated that we are now renting for parties. We rented 90 times last year, and it's bringing in revenue. And my idea is that it becomes self-sustainable, so that money, when it comes in from a rental, just doesn't get put into the general fund, it disappears. And we're this far away from that place just supporting itself. But bottom line is, we protected that 19 acres, and now we have 38 acres there for our townspeople to enjoy. We just built an amphitheater there. This summer, they'll be enjoying all music there. It's like, you know, it's like a challenge that, and I'm not going to stop. So I could go on and on. I can tell you this, and I'll answer some questions that we're on the move. And for any of you that don't live here, you need to move here. Or if you're going to open a new business, you need to come here. We'll make it very, very easy for you. But,
you could tell them about this complex we're in right now.
I was going to get into that part. So our vision here for this Sunnydale area is that we have people that own this, Brad and Christine, invested a lot of money. This was not nice right here where you are. I can tell you that. And the property's right down to the bypass, and I'm very, very thankful for that. You have another gentleman here that's bought some properties across the street from the town hall. Our job now is we want to join these two areas. We want to join these two areas and so that they can become one shopping district. That's our vision for this area. So we are thankful to all of the business people that have invested in our town, and we can only tell them that we'll do our share, do whatever we can to make sure that we work along with them. Can I say to make it happen? Bob, or would you want to just tell everyone your experience here?
My name is Bob Torino, and I just finished building a mill conversion property. It's over budget by about 10 million, but that's different. It's 109 units. And I came to Charlie, and I've known him for so many years, by the way. I came to Charlie and I said, I'm interested in developing my mill, which I've owned for 30 years. So he said, okay. And And I will never forget your words. You said, I will do anything I can. Don't ask me to do anything that's not in the best interest of the town. And I said, and I was born in this town, and I have goosebumps right now just telling you this. This is, it's not election year, so it's, I couldn't have done it without him. I could have done it, Dave, right here, I couldn't have done it without the people in the town. And he made it known that we need this project. It's gonna make hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. It's gonna be automobiles. It's kind of like a medium to upscale place. We've got all kinds of fancy cars, but I'm sure you're gonna be taxing them pretty soon. But at any rate, I have to say, it's been a pleasure. I didn't have the right contractor or the right architect, but it's been a pleasure in spite of it. So I could say, I think without Charlie and his people, and his staff, he gave the order. By the way, a lot of people say it's like Napoleon, but I'll tell you what, when he speaks, people listen in the town. And I don't care if it was the building inspector or whatever it was always a friendly ear. We didn't do anything wrong. There's nobody gonna come and say, oh, you did this wrong, you did that. We followed every instruction. That's why it was $10 million over budget. But at any rate, I have to say, this gentleman should be recognized for having this town progress to some degree. And I've lived in this town for many, many years, and we had some tough people here. So this is I can't say it. It's been unbelievable. So I don't know what else I can say. But anyway, thank you.
So I asked Shane Boucher, young gentleman here that has a great vision for our community, to also join us today, and I kind of recognized, his energy a couple of years ago. Asked him to serve on our planning board. I also have our planning director here, Dave Westcott. I want to publicly thank you for putting up with me, Dave.
I think that goes both ways, boss. Hey, if I could, there's a couple quick things I'd love to add. One is our infrastructure. You might hear that drugs are coming across the southern border, but in North Providence, the drugs came across the northern border because we cooperated with the FBI in purchasing drugs from Canada with Google. And there was a $500 million forfeiture, and our share of that was $60 million. And that $60 million has restored our police pension plan. It has given us a new fleet and equipment that we need to maintain our police presence, and it's building a new public safety police and fire station that you see under construction as you came up Mineral Spring Avenue at no cost to the taxpayer. We're building 2 brand new schools. It looks like Providence down here. We got cranes up in the sky all around here. And we will have the finest schools in the state of Rhode Island by June of this year. And we will have those schools because we started, while there was a moratorium on school money, doing the planning for our new schools. And when the door opened, we were standing first in line. And we were able to get $70 million. So 74 cents of every dollar we're spending on our schools is RIDE money. So we're going to have the finest schools, but excellent infrastructure. And one more thing, if I might, and that is Maryville has now been designated an opportunity zone. So not only can you find a great place to live at the mill, and by the way, Bob, I think you're too shy about it. This is the first place where power looms were used, water-powered looms were used to weave in North America. It was the start of the Industrial Revolution, the next step after Slater's Mill. The turbines are still there, and one of the reasons it's costing so much money is to keep the historic people happy, because it's not just a beautiful place to live, it's a remarkable historic building and well worth looking at. Anyway, back to the opportunity zone. If you have capital gains money, so I got a bunch of stock, I sell it, I got to pay the capital gains. If I take that money and I put it into Maryville, I don't have to pay capital gains on it. If I leave it for 3 years, half my capital gains is cut. If I leave it for 5 years, all my capital gains is cut. So if you invest your money in the Maryville Opportunity Zone, then you don't have to pay capital gains tax on that money. 3 to 5 years, you can get your money back without any capital gains. And you know how capital gains is today. We're a very business-friendly community, because the mayor comes from business. It's been a great pleasure to work with the mayor to help move this community forward and get this economy kicking. And we do that, he said it, we don't have any Citizens Bank Plaza. I don't have any big spaces. I gotta do it one store at a time. And we do that by sitting down with the businesses, finding out what they need and getting them to them. Thanks for the floor for a moment.
So Dave brought up a couple of things that, because so much has been happening here, so he mentions about the police chief, comes into me a few years back, he said, "I need to talk to you." I said, "What's up?" So he tells me about this, they got a couple openings in this Haida force. I said, "Well, how's it work?" He said, "Well, you know, you put these two gentlemen in this force, two officers," he says, "you're not gonna see them, you're gonna pay for them." He said, "But," he said, "I think there's maybe some things that are gonna happen." So, is that right? I said, "Yeah." So we put him in. Bingo, 60 million. 2 years later. Now, this is an interesting story about the 60 million. So now we know we're going to get the 60 million. So now we need to have a plan, the building, what have you. So Dick and I sit down, and the first thing we say is, hey, look, we need to be very responsible with the spending. 60 million. You know how foolish you could get with that kind of money? So we now know that we need to fund the unfunded police pension, because they have passed a law the year before that says in 14 years you need to be fully funded. So what that meant to us is we had to add an additional $860,000 in our budget every year to meet that goal in 14 years. So now we have to go to meet with all the individuals from the Justice Department, and who now is our Attorney General, Mr. Narona's office. So the lady from the Revenue Department, named Rosemary Gallotti, sharp lady, by the way. We became very friendly, very close, because we listened to their advice. This is what you need to do to straighten out the town. And we did it. We could have did the political thing and tell her, forget about it. We did it. So we get in the elevator, myself, Dick, and Rosemary, so we're gonna go upstairs. I said, hey, Ro, we got so friendly, I was calling her Ro. I said, hey, Ro, I just want you to tell them and ask them for 20 million to fund my unfunded police pension. She said, well, she said, that's a good idea. So we go upstairs now, we meet with the suits. I call them the suits. So they're all sitting. There's a fellow sitting at 2 o'clock, I'll never forget this, it's a good story. So we're going on about the money, what it could be used for. I said, listen, I need 20.6 million to fund my unfunded police pension. Now keep in mind, this money was for police use only. That's what it was for. So he said, it's not a permissible use. So I'm saying to myself all in a couple of seconds, what? Because I know it's responsible, being responsible. I said, I really don't care. I said, well, I said, but you know it's being responsible. He said, I didn't say that. I said, so then help me. Because all I kept thinking about was the 860. That's $1 on the tax rate. Every year. So we went back and forth, back and forth. It took us 9 months, by the way, to convince the Justice Department that this was a responsible use of money. So we're there, and I said to the fellow, I said, look, I said, I'm not asking you to utilize this money to do something foolish, like buy 30 new Mercedes police cars or something. This is a responsible use. It's 60 million. How many new police cars can we buy with 60 million? 9 months later, they allowed us to take down 20.6 million for the police pension. We are now the second highest funded pension in the state. But we're saving that $860 a year. So sometimes it's trying to convince those people, by the way, that are responsible for the money, that, you know, you're trying to do what's best for everyone. Everyone likes you to attend the right thing, but it was. So our officers will never have to worry for the rest of their life. And the taxpayers are, being, compensated an additional $860,000. Dave mentioned about the schools. I was running for re-election. I said, we need to address the schools. My advice was, don't get involved. This could cost you the election. I said, it's for the kids. It's for education. It's for our future. We need to ask the taxpayers to, vote to see what they want to do, and they did. So it became Project 75. We call it. I said, what's that? It's for $75 million. 75% of the people supported me for re-election, and 75% of the people supported floating the bond. And we're the first, we're one of the first couple of communities out of the box in addressing our school needs. And these are just some of the things that we're trying to do. Before I ask Shane to say a couple words, can I answer any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayor, I got a couple for you. My first one is, what's your relationship with your neighboring communities? I know you're part of the Northern Rhode Island Chamber, and I'm just curious how you collaborate, or what kind of efforts you have gone underway to spur this kind of business acumen.
That's a great question, and I think we're really trying to lead the pack. Johnston and I, Johnston and North Providence, our animal control is merged. Our CDBG grant money, might be about the lead pipe. The CDBG grant money program is merged. Not the turkey. Joking, not the turkey. We're also, we sweep our streets together. We have a great relationship with the town of Lincoln, the city of Pawtucket, so we're building a new public safety complex. We're going to be dispatching all their fire apparatus together with us. And the next thing we're moving toward, working with the city of Pawtucket, is fire service. So we have a station at the corner of Mill Spring and Charles. They have a station half a mile away on Smithfield Avenue. So this is the way it works now. I was a volunteer fireman for 21 years. I drove those trucks. The rule of thumb right now is you drain all the equipment out of your town before you call a neighboring community to help you. They call that mutual aid. Well, think about this. We get a fire at the corner of what is Doris Street and Mill Spring, dead in the middle between those two fire stations. Half of that street is Pawtucket, half is North Providence. Well, here's how that works now. Our truck goes to their station. Their truck comes to our station, and we're waiting for a fire truck to come from the other end of town. They get a fire on what they call Powell Road and Whedon Street, Pawtucket. The house is still boarded up. Our truck goes to their station, not to the fire, and they wait for a truck to come from Newport Avenue. So my theory is, I don't care what the truck says on it when it pulls in front of my house, as long as it's got water or oxygen. No, really, all kidding aside. So we're working on that too, to merge services. So we got a map. I drew a map like from Route 146 to that Smithfield Avenue area. That whole block looks like you're going to see some cross-running, so to say, between the two departments. And we have to do that. And something that's going on right now in our town is that 80% of our calls are rescue calls. That's the nature of the business, not fire. Well, the rule of thumb is you hire 8, we have to add another truck. Duncan did it last year, and they're going to add another one now. The rule of thumb is you hire 8 new firefighters / rescue people to the tune of maybe $400,000, probably a little more. And now you buy another truck for 2. That's $600,000. When we closed that fire station, I identified that we had one pumper that we could have shut down. So instead of hiring 8 people and buying another rescue truck, and we already had 2 spare trucks in case the truck breaks, what we did was, we redeployed. We shut down a fire truck. We redeployed that manpower to address the additional rescue truck. Now keep in mind that rescue calls, you could bill for those. We know last year, we missed the bell 606 calls that we needed out of town help. And we help everyone, they help us. But we knew that 606 times, if we had that third rescue truck in service here, we could have answered the bell 10 minutes quicker. Now we could have also billed for those calls. We know it's 300,000, so I'm going to say 250. We now have that third rescue truck in service, and we're probably going to generate an additional 250,000 this year on the revenue side.
Not from the taxpayer.
No, not from the taxpayer. The people, you get billed, your insurance company gets billed, and every rescue company in the state does that, or town, or city. So, we turned a $600,000 cost into a $250,000 revenue by having the guts to do it. We're in a little battle with the firefighters now, but we're answering the demand for services for rescue now, 80%. And we addressed it. So these are the things that you need to have courage to do. Because if you don't, you're gone. And then it's always in the taxpayer's pocket. This year we might have a small tax increase, I'm not sure yet, because of the 2 new schools, 75 million. So, but I'm not sure yet. We're trying to do other things. If we pick up, say like with this rescue service, we're anticipating 250. Oh, and by the way, we took over our senior center. We identified that it was a mess over there. So here they go. Mayor, he don't like the seniors. I am a senior, by the way. He don't like the seniors, he's gonna close the senior center, and I told him I will close it. Just so you close it, and we'll reopen it the day after, under the direction of the town. It needed to become a town business, like the police department, the fire department, and all of our other departments. And we have, and I will tell you this, that in a 12-month period, under the town's direction, we're probably gonna save over there about 250. That's how bad it was. But again, you need to have the courage to do it. Please believe me, they made it look like those guys hate the seniors. I said, it's not the case. What about the senior, by the way, that's supporting that complex, that is living in his or her home, that's picking up the tab? Care about them too. Not just the seniors that frequent the center every day. And by the way, it's changed. We had to change the culture, I'm sorry. And but now it's, you go in that place, everyone's ecstatic. Because more programs, additional programs. We have a doctor in there now. We're gonna have a pharmacy in there now. There was a doctor working downstairs in the senior center. So I'm into cars, okay? I drive by, I see this car outside, I'm saying, who's driving this car? A couple more days, I see this car out there, so who's driving this car? I say to Dick, that car that's towards day is worth 150,000. Who is this? Doctor's downstairs. So I find out, I call him up. Oh, I find out he's not paying any rent. Not where I come from, right? So I call him up. I said, you need to have a meeting. So we get together, I said, you need to pay us rent. I'm not paying rent. So yes, you are. He says to me, and now, by the way, he's not seeing one of our seniors. He had his own little thing going there. And how we realized that, one day Dick and I went over there, and this friend of mine from Johnson's wheeling his mother in with a wheelchair. He said, hey, Bobby, what are you doing here? She said, oh, my mother, she sees her doctor downstairs. I'm looking at the car, now he figured out. It could be a brain surgeon to figure this out, right? I had a meeting with him, he said, he wasn't gonna, you know, pay. And then he said to me, this is the funniest thing, he said, you know what you're doing to the seniors? I said, well, I know what you're not doing for our seniors. And now we have a doctor in there that providing services, and have a little cardiac program there. We're gonna also now have a little pharmacy so that, you know, the seniors won't have to travel around, they'll get their, you know, their pills, so to say. So, oh yeah, by the way, we closed that fire station, we took a lot of guff, right? We haven't rented for $2,500 a month. We're picking up money here, we're picking up there, you try to be, you know, a little creative. The Google money. Then we go back and forth to Washington, Dick and I, to encourage the Justice Department to allow the fire department to be part of that new complex. It wasn't supposed to be, it was only police. They finally gave us a waiver, not for equipment, but for the fire department. And why we went was because we knew that if the fire department didn't go in that building, we would have been saddled with the structure they're in now. But our job was to get them into the new building, so now we could sell the property where the police and fire complex is now. Probably gonna give us at least 2 years without a tax increase. And that'll be right after June 1st. They're saying they're gonna move in, probably July 1st. You
Yeah, could you speak a little bit about how you got the change to occur in getting the departments to coordinate, the boards to coordinate, to make this happen, this type of change happens? What was like the change management approach you took?
Business.
Or your team took?
It was just, it just needs to happen. You know, we came in and, you know, we were new. Dick comes from big business, started driving a Coke truck, became the executive vice president of Coke. I come from small business. We came in and we didn't take the political approach, like, you know, you're done, you're done. We met with everyone and said, look, we're gonna allow you to do your job. Because maybe someone in that office wasn't letting you do your job. We really don't have a problem with you, but you're gonna do your job. What we also knew with that approach was that those people that knew they couldn't do the job, they were gonna leave on their own. And they did. A few. But I will tell you this. 18 months later, we ran a special election. 18 months later, keep in mind, no one supported us. We didn't have an opponent. Because we came in and we just said, we're gonna run it like a business as much as we can. And those people, by the way, the department heads that are still here, they love it because now they're being allowed to do their job. So it was just a matter of the culture.
And you know what, I'll speak to that a little bit. The mayor has the thumb. And the mayor is the thumb. And the mayor's gonna call you up, he's gonna say, can you come in here, I got a business sitting with me today in my office. And we're talking about how we can get that business set up here in the office. And I tell him, sure, I'll be there in about 10 minutes. Because that's the thumb. And the second thing is, the mayor's got he's got the spine. He said to me, you tell me what you need. And when you're a department head and the mayor tells you, you tell me what you need and we'll make sure you get what you need, that's just huge. That makes the department run much more smoothly across the board. No brag, just fact. You wanted me to remind you about lead.
Oh, so we talk about the CDBG grant money. We knew that we had some homes in town that have a lead service line. So I read up a little on it. That Flint, Michigan situation that went down 3 or 4 years ago. So I knew, well, I thought I knew that we could get some money from the grant money, maybe to try to address this. So we went and meet with the state, and there was a lady there from EPA. So they said to me, well, would you take this on? I said, absolutely. So everyone's afraid to take this on because if he can scare you, oh, you're gonna die, you got lead in your water, it's not good. Well, our water service, we have one of the best water services in the state right now, the Providence water system. But 10 or 15 years, if you got a lead pipeline, you could have an issue. So we agreed and then hooked up with Providence Water. They, the state, through the CDBG grant money, gave us, I think it was $275,000. Providence Water kicked in $275 or $3. We put together a program where they would come in, Providence Water, and they're responsible for the line from the middle of the street to the lot line, like the curb. The homeowner's responsible from the curb to the home. So we identified the first round, about 65 homes that met the criteria to get involved in this program. So this is the second year of it now. They gave us another $330,000. We're addressing all of the lead pipe connections in town. Hopefully they'll give it to us again next year. And Providence Water agreed to be part of it. But the thing is, we had neighborhood meetings saying, look, your water's good. But now you have the opportunity to get this connection for zero. Why wouldn't you do that? We got a call a year ago from the EPA. So my secretary says, the lady, Mary Jones from the EPA in Boston. Oh, no, man. You don't like to hear from them. So I answered the phone. I said to her, I said, hi. She said, Mayor Lombardi. I said, yeah. I said, what did I do now? She said, oh, no, Mayor, this is a great call. I said, great call, EPA. Well, I will tell you this. And a couple of us went, my wife with me. We were awarded last year's Child's Safety Award from the EPA for all of New England, the town of North Providence, for that program. And there's a meeting next week, I want to say it's in Connecticut, where they want us to address the other New England communities, because they're trying to encourage the communities to take this on the straight up, because it's an issue. But I think if you handle it right with the PR, you don't scare anyone, and people are taking advantage of it. Shane. This is Shane Pichet, he's on our planning board. He's taking the initiative to buy some properties across Sheepman Town Hall, and I want to thank him for that, but he's got such a great vision for the neighborhood.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks everyone for being here and joining us in town today. One thing I will touch on, it's funny, you know, to have this conversation, talk about business and its leadership Rhode Island. Mayor doesn't know this, but I have a customer. I'm a general contractor and I live up in the neighborhood. I grew up here all my life, and I have a customer who lives behind me. She happens to be an elderly woman, and we'll be doing her bathroom in her house. And so, you know, we talk about these different things, and I said to her today, I said, I won't be there today because I have an obligation, and I'm going with the mayor. And she kind of told her a little bit about it. She said, oh, that's great. She says to me, you know something? She said, I want to send the mayor a nice letter. She goes, I might even visit him. She goes, because I gave him a really hard time. And she was talking about, calling Dick, about the senior center. Because there was a difficult decision that had to be made to solve the problems that were going on. But you know, through different things, people take it the wrong way. The point is that a difficult decision had to be made. She said to me, you know, it's better than we could ever imagine. We really love it. So, you know, at first, sometimes when people are doing things, you can look at it and maybe not have the right approach. But it's a perfect example of how true leadership, making difficult decisions, and that's, anybody that's been in business, we know that. We make difficult decisions every day. We do that in our lives. Lifelong resident of the town. Quite a few years ago, I didn't necessarily feel about the town the way I feel about it, you know, today, thank God. But at the time, there was a very great feeling of disenfranchisement, I'll call it, because it didn't, you know, it didn't look good. And then the mayor came in with the administration, and little by little have made so many fundamental changes that the improvement in the town is night and day from what it was. And I will say we're sitting in a facility that was very motivating to me personally. Quite a few years ago when Brad and Kristen started doing this, I live in this neighborhood back here, and I would drive by every day. And being in this industry and watching the progression of the project, it's exciting. So finally, when they built the cafe, I couldn't wait the day they opened. My wife and I, it was the dream. We walk down from our house with our kids, and we sit down and we have dinner in this beautiful place, and I don't have to go to Cranston or Smithfield or Johnston or any other community, I'm doing it right here. And at the time, my wife and I were considering moving. We had bought some land in another community, and we were gonna build a house, and that was it. Well, fast forward to today, I should say at that time, we came here, and I looked at mom and said, I don't wanna leave now. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, look at this place. This is everything we wanted. This is what I've been wanting in the town. I, complain all this time. We have all these little areas and this nice, business that we could build, and it just hasn't happened. Now it started to happen, so it was really motivating. And so we made the decision to stay. And not only did we make the decision to stay, we made the decision to actually, instead of complaining about it, I would walk out of town hall and say to the mayor, I can't take this. We walk out of this building, and these vacant properties, they drive me crazy, because as a taxpayer, when I see a vacant business, I look at my residential tax rate and I go, wait a minute. I'm tired of footing the bill. We need to broaden the base. We need to make it better to do business, so we've done that. So recently, we made an investment here in Centerdale that the mayor spoke about, and yesterday we had a meeting with DOT. We were, he and I and 3 members of DOT, and we walked around the area and we're talking about the changes that it makes. And there's a lot of work that's, I don't think people see it, that you have to do every day, that members of the community do, and especially members of the administration. A lot of people in politics, the bureaucracy that we face in the state, it's kick it down the road. You come in, you have a grip, or you have an idea, or you have something you feel you want to do, so you go to the powers that be, and you say, hey, listen, this is what we'd like to do. This gentleman wanted to build a mill. He came in and said, you can get stonewalled, you can get stopped like the mayor talked about. What he's done in the town, he's 100% right. You pick up the phone, you call a department in this town, I guarantee you get an answer, and someone will be back in touch with you, help you. I've had the opportunity now to be on the planning board. Talk about Dave Westcott, I don't have to say it. You can listen to him, just hearing him talk, you can tell the knowledge and the passion that he has. We've done so many changes through planning and zoning to benefit the residents of the town. That all comes from the top. Everything, trickle down. Like I said, go in the past and you look at the communities that have difficulties. The biggest thing that you can provide, in my opinion, if you are what I'll call the elected officials, the leadership that was chosen, you have to install and instill the sense of pride in the community. Because that's what it's all about. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all people, we all live in a certain place, we want it to be a certain way. And the last thing you can have is feeling that you're not happy with where you live. I can tell you today, 100% in the town of North Providence, just like the mayor, that I'll invite you all. I've witnessed it from growing up in the town my entire life. I look at the neighborhood that I live in, the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I'm watching the houses as they change. So people bought them like my grandparents. I ended up purchasing their home out of a sentimental reason. We're still there. And I've watched the elderly that have passed on or moved on, and now I'm watching the renaissance. And you know who's moving into the neighborhoods? Young professionals, people that look at it. You know what someone said to me, a friend of mine? I couldn't believe he moved 2 streets over from me. We do business together. He's an excavation. And I see him, I said, oh, Tommy, I didn't know you moved there. I said, you know something? He said, we looked at Cranston, we looked at Lincoln, we looked at Smithfield, we looked at every community. And then one of our friends said, hey, have you considered North Providence? We said, no, we really didn't. He said, we looked around. He said, out of all the options we had, we found our best option for the best price point of the house, for the most value and everything that we got right here in this neighborhood, 2 streets over from me. And I looked at it, I said, you know something? That's, as a member of the community, that's something you want to hear. That is a direct reflection of what the town is and where it is at this moment. So, I can't say enough over the last, at least decade of the improvements that the town's made. I do encourage everybody, we are, doing everything we can, and I can tell you, all of us that have been in business and anybody that's been around, the most important thing you can have in any type of representation or leadership on the political side is people that get it. Because there's a lot of places in this state, okay, and I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but they just don't understand what it's like to get it through. But when you finally get to that point, you do have people that understand it, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And I would just say to everyone in the room, when you vote, when you think about these things, vet the people, know who you're supporting, and know that they have the interest. The best thing the mayor says all the time, and I'll say this thing, and why he does an unbelievable job. You know why he's the best mayor, in my opinion, in the town? And I say this to anybody, not just because he's sitting here. He doesn't need the job. Think about that. When you talk about a politician and someone who's in an elected thing, what have they done to get there? What is their background? Because when you're in a position, he says the best part of it, I don't need the job. I can make difficult decisions. If I don't have the job, it's not going to affect my life. A lot of people that have those positions, they need that job. Without that job, they have nothing. the type of people you want are people that understand what it's like to walk in the shoes of that business person. Because without our businesses, that's the #1 tax rate. And if we don't have businesses that are thriving, guess who's paying it? The residents. And I can tell you, as a resident, I don't want my taxes to go up in my home. So, I'll leave you with that. We appreciate it again for everyone coming in, and thanks to Brad and Kristen for hosting us today.
Any other questions, answer? Goes to Rob. Yes.
Just a quick question. So what are some of, like, if a business is trying to come into apartments and thinking about it, what are some of the natural assets that you have here that you would be able to speak to?
Yeah, so, one thing we'll be able to boast about is just this avenue right here, North Spring Avenue. It's the 3rd busiest road in the state. And to be on this avenue, I think is a plus for any business. We have another gentleman here that represents the Greco family that's put a few $1 million in our town. And we're working on another big project right now to bring in a couple of new, larger businesses. And, we're thinking about right away to make that happen is to abandon 2 smaller streets. Because if you own both sides of them and it's only maybe a couple of 300 feet and it's not gonna impact anyone's public safety, and you tell me this is what you're gonna bring here, guess what? We're gonna make it happen. Because that's our salvation. And I think right now, maybe I can answer it this way. I received a call from a fellow about 2 weeks ago. He said, we want to put up a 30,000 square foot office building. Happened to know him, happened to know the attorney that represents him. Then he called me. Didn't know the investor called me and said, so you want to put up a 30,000 square foot office building? He said, how do you know? I said, I already spoke to so-and-so. He said, yeah. I said, so let me ask you why. He said, because we know we could get it done. And that's what I want out there. Go there. We're not doing anything illegal, but we're gonna save you time. And we're gonna get it done. And, yes.
Easy access, 146, 295.
Location.
At 44,
The
like
south
Dick
and
said,
north, easy access.
that's the reason why we want to address Centerdale. Because 44, there's a lot of traffic on that road. And I think if we take care of the congestion there and the traffic pattern, and parking's our problem. Parking's the problem. So if we provide more parking for the businesses, then we know they're gonna come here. And that's the issue. We know that. We've identified that. We're gonna address it. Problem with me, I like to get it done yesterday. But, sometimes I call it belonging to the meetings club. They say to me, what's that, Charlie? I go, well, it's have a meeting, to have a meeting, to have a 3rd meeting, to decide when you're gonna have the 4th. Either nothing gets done or you appoint a committee. No, really, yes.
So I guess it's a 2-part question. So the first question is, does your town offer incentives to attract businesses like tax stabilization agreements, to encourage them to build in the city? And also, what is the general process here? So, because you said you don't like meetings and you want to get things done, I like to get things done too, because we can relate on that. But do they have to go before city council to get any type of approval? Is there zoning requirements that they have to go through? So
Yes, there is, and though you would have to do that, because that's the law, that's the process.
Yeah.
But what we can guarantee you is that it's gonna happen quick.
okay.
So it's not gonna be, say a 3 or 4 month ordeal. We're gonna have you meet with Mr. Westcott. He's gonna give you the information.
Let me give you an example there. We don't accept applications on paper anymore. The engineers are drawing in PDF. You're not making 12 copies of paper and submitting it to me. You're sending me 1 email. I'm gonna go over the plan. If there's a problem with it, I'm gonna say, you need to do this, this, and this, and when you've done that, you send me the PDF. I send it to all the planning board members, and we meet 2 weeks later and have a hearing on your project. The 2 weeks is state law mandated notification period. So we have to make the state mandated periods, but we don't have to make you jump through a bunch of unnecessary hoops in order to do that. You're fully e-permitting You want a building permit, you sit down at a terminal, you punch in the key data, the building inspector authorizes it at his terminal, the fire inspector authorizes it at his terminal, I authorize it at my terminal, and you're done. Most of the people who come into our place for a permit leave with the permit within an hour of arriving in our offices.
I can attest to that.
Oh, but the first part, so how do you attract some of these businesses aside from this, the open space? So is there any, tax stabilization or some sort of tax incentive? Because if that's the case, then you wouldn't generate that tax-based revenue right away. It would be over a course of a certain amount of years, right?
Well, we will handle that in the same manner that we handle it with Mr. Torino. In other words, if, this building is paying X amount of dollars in taxes, and, now all of a sudden they wanted to add a new, business along with this, and, you know, we probably say, look, as long as we don't lose a dime, we wanna work with you, okay? But at some point, you're paying us. So we would.
They are
I hate
case
the
by
way
case.
The agreements, we would make an agreement with anyone. As far as, but to say, hey, look, come to our town, we're gonna, you know, give you $100,000 tax abatement for the first year, no. No, that wouldn't happen. I think we have a lot of other, one second, Bobby, we have a lot of other things to offer here. And I keep going back to the time, because where I come from, time is money.
And so tax abatement is different to tax increment financing or a tax stabilization agreement, all of which have been at various times negotiated here in the community. So Bob, you had a tax increment financing.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is, in order to do that, I needed to, in order to build this project, I needed to get a tax stabilization. So I was paying about $36,000 a year, maybe $40,000 a year, so we made a 7-year plan, and the first 2 years we paid the same taxes, but then every year it keeps going up. And now the reason, without this particular thing, and without the government's help as far as state tax credit and federal tax credits, it would have been torn down. So now I have 109 units, and it'll be paying taxes forever. So hundreds of thousands of dollars, unfortunately, but it would be, so it's tax forever.
And I think, if I may jump in, Bob, so that last check you just gave us, we pulled in for what, 6 months or a year? So Bob, his permit fees and what have you, again, we wanted to help him, so we prolonged all those permit fees a year.
Yeah.
Get Bob going. So we'll do what we can. And by the way, the other thing I do, I think I mentioned it before, is I'll pick up the phone. I see a business, need to come up here, we need to talk. Take a ride around. This is what we have to offer. This is a building that's gonna become available for sale. Can you use it? And we've been a little successful with that. You know? I'm sorry, sir.
So it sounds like North Providence does a good job with speed, which helps businesses and helps the tax base. I feel that potentially could disenfranchise or enfranchise residents of the town. Because, you know, being on a city council myself, I know whenever there's something that comes up for a zone change or a plot change or a map change or a planning board decision, we're constantly having meetings just to let the residents voice their concerns. So how do you deal with that in North Providence, going so fast to get things done quickly?
We move it along a little quicker. It's, you know, we ask the council, you know, can you meet as long as we meet the criteria of advertising, you know, for the meeting. If it's a good sized project and we know that it needs to get done already, we'll put all the boards and commissions and, you know, the votes.
You know, you tapped it right there. You said, when we need to change the zoning. Well, if your zoning is compatible with your development goals, then you shouldn't be needing to change the zoning in order to put that development in there. If you need to change the zoning to put that development in there, then you maybe need to. Now, I'm not pretending we're a utopia. We change our zoning too. And changing zoning requires advertising 3 weeks in advance in a newspaper of general circulation, followed by a public hearing. And actually, since the planning board has to make a recommendation to the council, there's a planning board meeting, and then there's a council meeting, and yes, that's a fairly long and complicated process, but it's dictated by state law. So what we can do is the state law provides us, I have 15 days to review a permit. Because you're sending them to me electronic, I do that in a day. That's the stuff we can save time on. I still have to advertise for 3 weeks to get to the point of the council meeting, but instead of you needing to submit to me a month and a half or 2 months before the council meeting, you can submit to me as little as 3 weeks in a day, because I have to advertise.
Yeah, the submission's not my concern, it's
Yeah.
how, we passed Topgolf in Cranston. Big deal. We had 3 hearings on it. We could have passed it the first night and kicked it right through. We wanted to have additional hearings to have the residents kind of come and voice their concerns. And I'm sure in the 11 years you've been there, there has to have been something where you've moved fast and found a challenge with residents that speed has caused. So how do you overcome that? That's my question.
Again, as I think Sheen said it, if I feel in here it's good for the community, we're gonna let it roll, and then we'll wait for the next election.
I'll give you an example. Douglas Avenue. We rezoned a whole section of Douglas Avenue commercial. The idea was that Shaw's Plaza, which is off Douglas Avenue, could spill out onto Douglas Avenue in that stretch of Douglas. The problem is we don't allow automotive, body work and junkyards, and the whole area was automotive and body and junk. Detroit Auto Body is probably the premier auto body shop in the state. They handle the Jaguars and the Mercedes, and they needed to expand, and they ended up going back to the council and saying, 2 years ago you rezoned us commercial, we don't want to be commercial, we should have stayed. And so that came back and bit us. We thought this will be great, we'll have commercial expansion. Well, bricks and mortar commercial is not quite the bright future it might have been back in 2012 or 2013. The whole commercial atmosphere has changed. So we have to target not commercial shopping plaza store, but more the 3 types of shopping that are really going to stay around. Number 1 is I need it now shopping. I gotta have a muffin, I gotta have a cartridge for my printer, I gotta have a ream of paper. That's stayed. Number 2 is entertainment shopping. How about you and me go out, we'll look at shoes today. That's always gonna be there. And the third is shopping where you're gonna go and look at the piece that you're actually gonna go home and order online. And what that's done is it's knocked the top off. Walmart's still doing fine. But the middle and the top of the retail is starting to slide a little bit.
So Mike, if I could answer that, by the way, I give you a lot of credit because I know I read a little about that. But when I looked at that proposal, looking at it from the outside, I'm saying, hey, wait a minute, what doesn't people like? There's nothing but business all around this area. I know citizens moved out of that building and now Topgolf wanted to go in, and I'm saying, hey, to me, it was a no-brainer to let it happen.
It was, and it passed 9-0, but still, we want to give the residents that time to kind of come and yell at us.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to give them a chance.
Speak firmly.
1 second. I just want to mention about that, you talk about the difficulty in, people showing up. So sitting on the planning board, most stuff comes to us first. So it deals with us and we make a recommendation to the council. One of the things that I've noticed is, you get those hot buttons where you get the community involved, which I wish more people would come to all the meetings. Like, council meetings, sometimes I go, I'm the only person in the, in the crowd. You wish the community would come to all of them and be as, but everyone gets to whatever they feel about. We had the issue with Cumberland Farms. Cumberland Farms wanted to move in. They built a beautiful, if you go on down Mill Spring Avenue, and all of Cumberland Farms, if you see throughout the state, they've done an unbelievable job. We had about 50 residents on the first night come out and kind of, not that they were opposed, but they had a lot of questions of what was going to happen, because they were taking over 9 properties and this and that. And one particular person that came out, I happened to know him somewhat personally, and he was really against it. And he's like, oh, you don't understand, like this and that, this whole negative thing. And I tried to explain to him at the time. I said, but if you look at this type of look what you have there. It's a disaster. It's a mess. No one's taking care of it. Okay, we had an issue with rodent problems and this and that. I said, Cumberland Farms, these companies like this, they spend a lot of money and they do a really nice job and they take care of their properties. What you want are people that take care of their property. So we had this discussion, and a lot of people, he happened to be the only one who really stuck. He said, I don't like this. It was right across the street from his house. Cumberland Farms gets built. About a month later, I seen him. He says, you know something, I gotta tell you, you were right. He said, I was against it at first. He goes, but now that it's all said and done, and I'm over here, he goes, we love it. It's better for our neighborhood, everything's good. So sometimes there are tough decisions that have to be made, and the mayor said the election will speak because, you just hope you have enough time to show that what you're doing. If you do it here, you're always gonna be okay.
You got a question?
My question is, I have 2 questions, because I remember where that Cumberland Farm was, there was like a Chinese restaurant and there was a little thing, so that was like a little mom and pop. that was in that area. So what did you guys have to do? Did you have to buy them out for them to move, or was it?
Cumberland Farms bought those properties, the town had nothing to do with purchasing the properties. Once they made an agreement with those property owners, then at that point, they came in and presented the plan, and went to the planning board, and,
They were rental tenants, and the property owners sold the property to Cumberland Farms, and those small businesses moved elsewhere.
Okay, so
I don't think there was a lot of action going on there by the time Cumberland Farms bought it. The word started to spread, and the businesses started doing relocations before Cumberland Farms bought it out. There was one resident who lived there, and unfortunately, his landlord sold the building. It was a three-family and a triple-decker, and the landlord sold the building and didn't bother to inform the tenants, and we ended up taking some serious heat over that one. Is that especially, it's the Christmas season and the end of the year, and the transfer is going to happen in January, and they're coming, and they see the announcement in the newspaper, and they come and ask us for the plans, and they look at the plans, and their house isn't on the plans. And yeah, we sometimes we do have to take abuse for those kinds of things. Cumberland Farms bought them out, but we took the abuse for it.
okay.
We're
So,
good at that.
do you guys, about the taxing, do you guys help mom and pops also, or is it like larger businesses?
well, it's mostly the larger businesses, but we've made a couple of agreements where we've maybe prolonged, some portion of the fees for maybe 6 months, get you going. But as far as, the taxes are the taxes. Look, there's no one in this room that doesn't like to pay taxes more than me. But it's just something we have to do. And we will work with you, but as far as relieving you of a tax burden, we don't do that. We can help you as far as fees. This gentleman, I'm sorry.
So just, and I think we're running short on time, I just had another question. So if we can go back in time, right? CNBC said in 2012 that Rhode Island as a state was one of the unfriendliest places to do business. Like we ranked in the top 10. As of more recently, we see we're somewhere around 48, 49 out of 50 at the wrong end. What, how do you get around that in your community from the state having that type of disparaging commentary around it? How do you do that internally here? Do you have working sessions with some of the business leaders that have been successful here to come together to offer some type of working session for our investors to come in?
Have we had meetings, just to address that particular area as to what's going on, or situation what's going on in the state? No, I can't say that we have. We can only boast, and when we have get together as to what we're doing. And look at, I'm happy that you people came in today to hear what we're doing here. Yeah, we need more of this. And selfishly, we need more of it. The city of Cranston needs more of that. I mean, I look at some of the other cities that have landmass and have business. I will tell you this, and it's difficult for me to say, but the planning 35, 40 years ago of this town was bad. There was just too much politics. You could see it. When you look at a business and there's a home next to it, and then there's a 6-unit apartment building next to that, what happened here? Now we're suffering for it because that person that lives here is back to back with a business that's on Middle Spring Avenue. Why did you allow that 6-unit building to be built here at the time? That's the way things were done then. We're not going to continue with that. But you're right. That needs to happen more. Statewide, it needs to happen. But I will tell you this. I know the Chamber of Commerce is they're doing their best. The problem you got in the state, quite honestly, is, it's for some of the people downtown, the state don't forget it. Yes, Mark.
I just want to say one more thing. There's a lot of mill properties in Rhode Island. And I know a lot of the owners. And they all said to me, you cannot rent these places in the winter. It just doesn't happen. So we opened up in September. We have 109 units. Something's happening in North Providence. And something good is happening in North Providence. Because in 3 months, we are full. Okay, when other places are offering 2 months rent. We see it all the time. We are full, and we have a diverse group of people. We have about 20 people from out of state that moved in. We have Citizens Bank employees there. We have CVS, 2 doctors, 6 nurses, whatever. So you can see the diversity of the automobiles from all different states. And it's a wonderful thing. So things are happening in North Providence. People want to live here. And they talk about Providence. It's very, very different living in Providence.
I'm on Providence City Council. Choose your words wisely.
Oh, okay, good. So, maybe you should move to, North Providence.
Okay, so, but listen, because I have to run, I want to first thank Chris and Brad for hosting us here this morning. More importantly, for leadership and to come here, choose to come and visit with us. And, listen, we feel we have a story to tell, and hopefully you appreciate it. And if there's anything we can do, if you know someone that wants to open a business, don't have to call me. But I have a decent we're at 10. Again, thank you very, very much. Thank you.